Welcome to another episode of Musashi R&D Sessions. Today, I am pumped for today. This is probably my favourite topic. Your favourite topic was amino acids.
What?
Mine is mindset and motivation.
You said this about 3 times.
No, this is 100% my favourite topic.
Yeah, we've had 12 special shows, but this is the most special.
This is the most special.
We've had 13.
Oh.
Yeah.
What do you know?
Look, everyone talks about the need for physicality and athleticism in sport and health and fitness and all that sort of stuff. But quite often we forget about the mind, the power of the mind, mental toughness. So like I'm the first to put my hand up and say I am not the strongest guy in the gym. I don't ever claim to be. I'm not the baddest dude on the mats, but I got a black belt in discipline and motivation. I can tell you that right now. I don't think I've missed a week worth of training in 25 years. And you ask anyone at my jiu-jitsu academy, I'm on the mats more than anyone. So I think this is like a pretty passionate topic for me, like mindset and motivation. I'm a pretty disciplined person, and hopefully we can pass on some sort of wisdom and some tips and tricks to instill that enthusiasm and discipline into other people's training regimes.
Nah, I mean...
Your turn to talk. Sorry, I got off. I was on fire then. Sorry.
Yeah, what a start. I mean, but motivation, mindset is the most important thing. You know, I'm a little bit motivated as well, sometimes.
But with your training, you are like that is something that, like, I think in all areas of our life we come and go with our motivation. But for us, I know that training is a staple. Like, we are in the gym on the days that we need to be in the gym at the times we need to be there.
Yeah.
And we're pretty goal focused. Yeah.
So, like, you know, when you see guys with big muscles, somebody in good shape, you know, there's no shortcut to it. It's, you know, a badge of honor of hard work. Because nobody woke up like that. You know? Well,
there are a few shortcuts, but we won't go there.
If you stay on the way, the road, you know, then there's only one way to get there, and that's hard work and consistency and dedication.
So we'll look at some tips and tricks to help you stay motivated and help you stay disciplined. I know you being a philosopher.
I'm a philosapher, so
you're going to go deep.
We're going to go really deep today, but before that, we've got a little game.
Well, not a game. But I make the games up around here.
Yeah, well, last week, you know, I was doing these shots of pre-workout.
Yeah.
Because I have a tendency to say things like that.
And things like that. You nearly died last week.
I almost died. Like, I was actually unconscious.
You might die today, Ross.
You were definitely jittery.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
You're not going to be jittery today. You might be a solid block afterwards because...
A solid block? I'll take that.
Yeah, every time you interrupt me, which is your tendency, you're going to have to eat.
What's in the special box of goodies over there?
You thought this box was just for show?
Yeah.
Well... It's a P45 bar.
Oh, a nice light-to-eat bar. I see you've chosen... You didn't go for our wafer. You went for the high protein.
So, you know, P45 bar, 45 grams of protein. That's about 1.5 chicken breasts per bar.
1,400 kilojoules.
I love a couple of P45s every day, but 5 in a row. So we'll see.
Are we doing a whole bar or are we doing half a bar every time he interrupts?
We'll start with a whole one.
Start with a whole? Okay.
No, we'll go half. We'll go half a bar. Okay. 22.5 grams of protein per interruption. Think of it as a reward.
Look at him.
Just waiting for my moment to talk without interrupting. You're going to get a very silent me in this podcast then if this is the game.
Oh, no. That's exactly how it was last week.
Exactly.
Now I know how you feel last week. I don't think I'll be playing these games anymore. Actually, I got something special planned for you next week, though.
Uh-oh. I thought this was
nothing bad, though. It'll be something fun.
Okay. But yeah, if you hear the horn, time to snack.
You in charge of the horn again?
I did charge with the horn.
You're pretty critical on the horn, though. Like you're horn happy.
Very. I'm trigger happy.
Horn happy sounds a bit weird, doesn't it?
Dog.
Yeah, horny.
Hey.
Anyway.
Back to the topic.
Okay, so mindset and motivation.
It's key.
Yeah. How do we tackle such a big topic? Well, you know, I like to break things down into things that make them easier to understand. I think of mindset and motivation. There's 2 ways to look at it. You know, your long-term motivation and your short-term motivation. Like, you're looking very looking
really
at me very
enjoying this.
patiently. But when it comes to long-term motivation, if you have goals, things like that.
What? Hey, what? Eat.
No.
He had his turn last week. I thought we trained that out of you.
Yeah, I thought we did. If you have goals, etc., then that's going to be a motivation to keep coming to the gym. No matter what your goal is, you're training to look good for a girl, training to look good for a music festival, you're training for the Olympics, you're training, just to set a PB in the gym, whatever. If you have a goal, you tend to stick to things a bit better.
I 100% agree, and it's finding out. Well, everyone's got a different goal. It could be sports related, could be health related, could be weight loss related. But you constantly need to remind yourself why you started on this journey. And I think if you can keep coming back to that, it's very easy to get distracted and sort of lose track of time, and things take over your life, and eventually sort of training and I was about to say and things like that. They drop off. They're the first things to drop off. But you need to consistently remind yourself why you're doing this. And those goals may change as you go on, but you need to keep reminding yourself. And setting goals is super important. And it sounds cheesy, sounds like some sort of Tony Robbins motivational talk, but it's not. You need to set yourself a goal and keep coming back to that goal.
And after you set your goal, don't keep it a secret. Once you tell people about your goals, you kind of put some skin in the game, as they say. You put it out there, so you kind of putting yourself on the line. And if you say I'm going to bench 100 kilos by the end of September, and you keep telling your friends that, and you're going to try hard and prove yourself right.
Agree. Again, the more people that know your goal, the more accountable you are to that goal, and and get those people to hold you accountable. I know sometimes that can be confronting, and it could be seen as shaming if you're not coming to the gym or whatever, but some people need that sort of motivation. You see it all the time, like especially in gyms. People join up after the new year. You get that big sort of February rush or after Christmas rush, and then the gyms are packed, and then a month later the gyms are empty. It's always the first thing to go. And I think before you start setting yourself like athletic goals, like benching 100 or whatever it is, or squatting a certain amount, I think you should set yourself some calendar goals. And this is the first thing I always say to people is book in your training like it's an appointment, like a work appointment. Like you don't go to work and then all of a sudden you've got an appointment at 2:00 and you just don't show up for it.
Yeah.
You can't do that at work. So why are you doing that with your own life and your own health and your own sort of own achievements?
Yeah.
You don't do it at work. Don't do it for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And, making yourself accountable and prioritizing what needs to be prioritized, right? Back in the day, it used to be quite hard to go to the gym on a Friday night for me. Like, I'm a sociable guy. Like to socialize with my buddies.
I thought you'd be in there just for the pump before you go out.
Well, then, I used to squeeze in these Friday workouts no matter what, before catching up with the friends and things like that.
Mate, lucky this is not games on him.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm setting the priority, making training a priority before, playing PlayStation or whatever it is.
Definitely. And like after 20-something years of training, I still have in my mobile phone booked as a calendar appointment the days and the times that I'm going to train. Not that I look at it, but it's just so I feel accountable. Like on this day, at this time, I'm going to train no matter what. No matter if I'm tired, no matter if there's stresses in my life, no matter if work's killing me, or I've had no sleep, the kids are annoying me, whatever, I'm training at that time. No excuses. And if you waited for all the stars to align for you to feel perfect before you go train, which a lot of people do. I've got to feel like I've got plenty of energy. I have to have heaps of sleep the night before. I've got to be getting on with my partner. I have to have 3 meals before I train. If you waited for all those stars to align every time you train, you'd never train.
Yeah.
Book it in, train when you're going to train.
Yeah. It's very easy to find an excuse not to train, but you should think about it differently and find a reason to train, defeat these excuses and find a reason.
What are some of the common excuses? What's the biggest one?
The biggest one is I don't have time, right? 100%. And if you ask anybody that doesn't train or isn't committed to a regular training program, the first thing is I don't have time.
It's true. And I got an answer for that.
There's always time.
There's always time. Make your workouts shorter. Don't make them such a chore. And I'm experimenting with a few people at the moment that have that. They are genuinely busy people.
Yeah.
And they don't really like spending a lot of time in the gym. I'm actually experimenting and doing 10-minute workouts with them.
Yeah.
So it might be
10 minutes. We're doing 10 minutes. Just cardio?
10-minute workout. So there's a little bit of a warm-up, but say it's leg day, for example. You're just going to squat. You're going to do 5 sets of 10 reps squat with minimal rest.
Yeah.
There's your workout for the day.
Yeah.
You add that up over the week. You've done 5-6 sessions. You've covered your whole body, and you've got 5 working sets of certain exercise per body part. Guess what? That's better than nothing.
Yeah.
10-minute workouts. Like, I know it seems shit, like, and you hear all those 10-minute ab routines and stuff like that, but it's better than doing...
You mean those 10-minute ab routines don't work?
Those 10-minute ab routines are amazing.
Yeah, I know.
You can't spend more than 10 minutes on abs anyway.
No, those workouts get shorter and shorter. It's like a marketing thing. But genuinely, if you don't have 10 minutes in your day to spare, something's wrong with the way you set or structure your day.
Yeah. And, there's so many ways to exercise. And, now that everybody's been trapped inside for long, people have been coming up with creative ways just to work out from your lounge. Don't find an excuse that gyms are shut.
Agreed. Oh, I stopped. I pulled back.
Don't matter.
Let's go.
Get busy.
I'm going to go peanut butter
I give
flavor.
you variety.
What do we got? Milk, choc, brownie, peanut butter. Oh, there's about 6 different flavors. You gave me 2.
Yeah, well. We could have done 1. Okay.
Peanut butter.
Don't find a...
So how many do I have to eat? You're going to have to listen to me chewing in the microphone too.
Of course. Disclaimer, these are delicious. They are just very, very heavy.
They're heavy because they got 45 grams of protein. Name another protein bar with that much.
Well, if you finish all 5, you'll have 220 grams of protein.
Wow.
Well, you're going to have to keep talking because I'm eating.
Yeah. We'll watch you chew for the first time. No, but like you were saying, finding an excuse is easy. It's easy to find an excuse that you could have, copped out of eating these protein bars.
I think a lot of people drop out as well, not just because of time. They find that they get bored with their workouts after a while.
Yeah.
That's why I always recommend work with a personal trainer or find yourself a gym buddy. Yeah. What we used to do back, I train by myself now, but back when I had training partners, I'd let my training partner pick the workout one day. I'd do what he wanted to do. The next day I'd pick the workout, and if it was a different person, and you just sort of rotate, you might not be sort of hitting strength, might not work in powerlifting.
Yeah.
But for what I was doing, it gave you a really good variety of exercises, and you might find an exercise that you weren't even aware of, and it just keeps the variety there. I think that's another thing people struggle with. It's the same routine over and over again. So mix it up.
Yeah. And, everybody you ever meet knows something you don't. Everybody that trains, everybody that goes to the gym is probably, experimenting something you might not have experimented with. So it's always good to, bump heads and get some advice. But there's a lot of bro science, a lot of fake news out there when it comes to training advice. The other thing about the other excuse related to no time is no energy. But if you have energy to walk around your house, to stand up, you have energy to exercise. That you could just go for a walk. You could do any increment of exercise. It doesn't have to be a professional training program like some of us do. But if you're even more advanced, getting a good program, planning your program, over weeks. This is how most powerlifters do it. They plan your training 4-week blocks. They look at the whole year. The best athletes don't look short term at all.
We can go back to what the weight loss podcast as well. Like, it's not as important what you're doing as much as the fact that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick exercises that you actually do enjoy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like it's a chore. It seems like you're just having fun.
It doesn't even have to be just going to the gym. You could mix in a bit of team sport, just running, swimming, whatever you prefer.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, a lot of things do get stale. Like, as much as I love benching, and I bench twice a week. Okay, I don't get bored of benching, but bad example. But yeah, you know, some exercises do get boring, like stretching, for example. It's very easy to skip these things, and you know, if you find a fun warm up, something that's easy to do, easy to stick to, then yeah, you can stick to it a lot easier. Like, you know, Ross is doing a creative jaw workout at the moment by eating all of these.
Finished. It was beautiful. This is hardly an effort at all.
Yeah.
I find it easier to do more boring workouts if I'm listening to something entertaining, whether it be music or stand-up comedy or even the R&D Sessions podcast.
Nice.
Throw that on while
Nice
I'm
plug.
warming up.
Well, that definitely works. You talked about short and long-term sort of motivations. A definite short-term motivation is music or something in your ear to distract you.
Yeah, and I definitely keep my playlist fresh. You know, always looking for new music motivation. I like these Spotify stats at the end of the year, and I listen to a lot of music because I'm always in the gym.
They're great. I'm watching you.
I'm looking for an opening. It's hard.
The Spotify at the end of the year that tell you like your top artists, your top 100 songs. They're great.
Yeah, so good.
Who's on your playlist?
Number one is Tupac, you know. Although I'm talking about keeping your playlist fresh, you know,
I can get behind that.
on deadlift day, it's always good to go old school.
What about you, Ross? Who would your number one be?
Mate, I'm this will show my age. I'm a 90s grunge sort of music guy.
Can you name a band or an artist?
Oh, mate, all of them.
Name one.
Nirvana. That's probably the ultimate.
Excellent.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, anything Chris Cornell I love. Like,
You and my brother would have exactly the same music taste. 17 years old, he listens to all of that.
yeah.
Nice.
Everyone listens to all of that at some point in their life, I think. But I just got stuck there.
Well, yeah, I got stuck on 90s rap.
They say that about the music. Whatever you listen to in those sort of formative teenage to early 20s years, that's what you listen to mainly for the rest of your whole life.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, so you'll be stuck on Miley Cyrus forever, Hal.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? Hannah Montana slaps.
But anyway, on the short-term motivation, music's actually scientifically proven to have a benefit. You know, if you watch the Olympics, all these, you know, when the swimmers come out with their headphones on, you know, even, you know, watching UFC, different walkouts and things, it's motivating.
It is, and when I find music motivating is like if I'm going for a run, if you can hear yourself breathe, if you don't have music, you can hear yourself getting puffed out. It's almost like a psychological thing, like, oh, I'm getting exhausted. But if you throw earphones in and you can't hear yourself getting puffed, it's almost like you just push through it. I don't know if that's cheating or not, but maybe I should hear myself like sound like a sound like a bitch while I'm running.
COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see you itching.
I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, so you know, music's good. There's a lot of other short-term motivations. You know, like you said, getting a pump just to go out on a Friday night. Like that might be a good short-term motivation, a legitimate motivation for people to hit the gym.
Yeah, 100%. Probably my favorite short-term motivation, if I'm feeling like I don't want to train, I'll jump straight on Instagram, straight to the guys that I know are the key guys for me for motivation. And it's guys like Jocko Willink, Dave Goggins, Rogan.
Yeah.
Like those guys that are just grinding no matter what. You go to Jocko Willink, ex-Navy SEAL, Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Every day he posts a picture of his watch at 4:30 a.m. He's up training every single day. And it just makes you feel, I don't know, like this guy's doing it every day. He's older than me. He probably does a lot more during the day than me. If he can do it every day, so can I. So I think like who you're following on social, like simple things like who you're following on social media can have a big impact.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like-
I'm same with the opposite there, where you go and look up all these guys working out.
Oh,
I'm going
you're looking
straight
at
to
girls.
chicks in bikinis.
Oh,
That's my
wow.
motivation.
nice. I saw Kim Kardashian.
What, are you looking for a booty? Looking to get a booty in the gym? Is that your
Nah,
motivation?
I'm
or?
looking for summer motivation, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, but on that, you know, there's plenty of good motivational influences out there, and Dave Goggins, I love him. He's got some real good stuff. You know his story. He was overweight, kicked out of the Marines, then became an ultramarathon runner, lost all the weight, and you know one of the best ultramarathon runners around.
It's those guys that actually do what they say as well. There's plenty of motivational speakers out there that just they'll do the motivational talk, but you never actually see them in action. It's those guys like Goggins will give a motivational talk while he's on the side of the road running and he's screaming at the camera.
Yeah.
Like, how much, if that doesn't motivate you, nothing will.
And, you know, Dave Goggins, his whole thing is get comfortable being uncomfortable, you know? I read this thing about him. He was doing an ultra marathon. And his feet were absolutely destroyed with blisters. He literally shat himself while he was running this. And he's just like, you know, it's all up here.
Just ran through it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I was like, man, this guy's on another planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, those are the extremes, and there's plenty of people to look towards for some good motivation.
That's good advice from Dhiren. So if you're in the gym and you're charging through a set and you need to go to the toilet,
Just
don't let it go.
Yeah,
Just go with it.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Is it really worth quitting your workout to just go for a quick break?
That's easily like the most embarrassing thing I've done in a gym is not, you know, doing that, but like when loading too much on a squat rack or on the leg press and let out a little toot.
Oh yeah,
Especially when it's always when other people are around. It's never, you know.
it's always when a hot girl's around.
Exactly. It's, you know, the saying, if a tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? It's applicable in the gym as well.
Yeah, true.
Well, you're not pushing hard enough if that doesn't have you not lifting enough weights.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common occurrence.
Do you know who's the king of short-term motivation?
Who?
Michael Jordan. I know we've all watched The Last Dance, and I was really fascinated by these mini games that he plays. So I think it was one of the playoffs games. Somebody said, "Nice game, Mike," because he outscored Mike. Somebody in the opposite team.
Was that Gary Payton?
I can't remember who it was. Might have been Charles Barkley. It might have been...
I don't think it was Charles.
No, maybe not. But anyway, MJ took this and twisted it, and he's like, this guy, he took it personally. He's like, this guy outscored me. And he said, "Nice game, Mike."
So he made a game for himself.
He made a little game. So obviously the playoffs is a 7-game series. Next game, he came back, dropped 40-something points. And, you know,
he held that other guy to single digits, I'm fairly sure.
Yeah.
I remember that now. I thought it was like a Pacers or he was a nobody.
He was from the Pacers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that comes back to find what motivates you. And what motivated him was he had to be the best.
Yeah.
And that's not everyone has to be the best. But I guess it's finding that motivation. Here's a question for both of you. Do you reckon like this sort of mindset, you're born with it or it's definitely trainable?
It's definitely trainable, but there are some people who take it to another level. Like, you know, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants. They're on another planet, you know. Nobody can achieve that laser focus just, you know, by watching motivational speakers on Instagram. You know, that's something else, something deeper. You know, the search for whatever, for greatness that they're going through.
It's definitely both, though. It's nature versus nurture, which is apparently the study that we learnt about in university recently. It says it's 30% what, you know, you're born with and 70% you're the product of your environment, which makes sense. But I agree there. I think you have to learn it more than you're born with it.
I think setting patterns as well. You know what I mean? Like it's always how long they say it's like to create some sort of pattern in your life takes 3 to 4 weeks. It's not that long, but it's those first 3 to 4 weeks of consistently showing up before it actually becomes routine in your life.
21 days to form a habit.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's not that long, really,
No,
when you
not
look
at
at
all.
over a lifetime or even over a year. 21 days to form a habit. You just got to push through those first 21 days and then you'll start to realize the benefits. Like, I think a lot of people need to remind themselves as well, I feel great after I train or after I work out. Like, you know, it's just getting going. And this is another thing I used to say when I was actually training people is, you give me 10 minutes. If you don't want to train after 10 minutes, fine, go home.
Yeah.
But if we're 10 minutes in, pretty much guarantee that most people will continue. You might get the occasional person that just goes, "No, I feel sick today," or whatever, but just commit to the first 10 minutes of a workout.
Exactly. And you don't even, you're not committing to say, "Oh, I'm going to start working out twice a week or 3 times a week, 4 times a week for the rest of the year." Commit to your first workout.
That's it.
If you hate it, you hate it. But odds are you'll love it.
And the hardest thing is actually starting, you know, starting anything. Miyamoto Musashi said it best, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. It might have been Confucius, but I'm pretty sure.
Same person.
Pretty sure Musashi said it first. Anyway, you know, it is that. It's, you know, when it's winter and you come home from work and you're not really feeling like going to the gym, that's the day you need to go to the gym.
Yeah, let's push through it. It is intimidating when you first walk into a gym, depending on the gym environment. And that's another big thing that people are sort of worried about is like, oh, I've walked into this big world gym and there's a whole heap of just massive dudes and I'm this skinny guy just starting training. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
I've got news for those people. The big guys are too busy looking at themselves in the bloody mirror than worrying about some new guy over in the corner doing his exercises. Most people go to the gym for themselves, not to worry about what everyone else is doing. Mm-hmm. So I know it's sort of a bit of a self-confidence thing, but no one's looking at you.
Yeah, nobody cares about you.
No one worries about you. So don't let that stop you from getting in a gym. Like, I'd much prefer someone in there at least doing something, whether they're doing the exercises wrong or they are some skinny little kids starting out. That was everyone at some point was that person starting out.
Person. Yeah. Even the biggest guy in the gym, he started off lifting weights for the first time at some point.
I know, and you'll probably notice those guys that consistently show up, they'll get results quicker than those that sort of a couple of months on, couple of months off, and I don't know. You get to know those other guys, and you get some tips and and they'll help you, and you become friends with them, and then you're in that community, and then it's a lot easier from there, and then you pass that on to the next generation that you see come through.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's very easy to get demotivated as well in the gym. You might not be seeing results straight away. And that's where, a good analogy like brushing your teeth comes in. You brush your teeth every day and you don't really see the results. Like, your mouth feels fresh, like a workout, you might get a pump, but, what you're really doing is, taking care of your teeth, and like exercise is taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, but actually doing,
That's probably the other biggest thing where people aren't seeing results. It's a really good point. People don't see results quick enough. They're too hard on themselves. I should be hitting this goal. I should have lost 4 kilos this week, or I should have put on more muscle than this. Says who? Says who? Everyone's body is different. Everyone's going to adapt at different rates. Keep showing up. Even if you have a bad week.
Yeah.
You might have got in the gym for the week, but you've eaten bad food for the week. Don't let it beat you up. You didn't waste that week worth of training. You offset what you've eaten, but start from fresh again next week. And I think a lot of people beat themselves up over A, not getting results, or B, making a mistake in their diet, or actually missing a day worth of training. Just treat each day as a new day, start from scratch, and keep moving on.
You'd be surprised as well how quickly it happens. Like, you might be training for a year and see no results, which is what happened to me. And then over the course of 2 months, I got stronger and larger than I had the whole 12 months prior to that.
When you started working at Musashi?
I think you get to a certain point. Oh shit! You get to a certain point as well when you see all these results in the beginning, and then if you are a natural athlete, you'll hit plenty of plateaus. And there was an old book by Bill Phillips called Body for Life.
Oh, yeah.
My book that I've published is called Plateau for Life. I think I've plateaued for the last 20 years. But you know what? I haven't changed. I've seen people come and go at the gym. I've seen guys get huge and then disappear for 6 months, and you see them walk in skinny again, and then they get huge and they disappear. You know what? I've stayed the same. Might be the same strength, but I've maintained that for a long period of time through consistency and discipline.
You learn to enjoy it.
Yeah.
You learn to enjoy it, and it just becomes part of your life.
And the thing is, it's about being true to yourself as well. When you do slip up on your diet, when you do skip a day, everybody's human, but people invent these excuses like we talked about. There's a lot of self-talk that goes into this. It's like how you talk to yourself in your mind. Like me sometimes, if I miss a rep in the gym, in my head, I'm like, oh, you little bitch, just lift this thing, But some people are like, oh, I'm never gonna lift this, That's like the two ways to approach the situation, right?
It's funny you say that because I wouldn't picture you as something like that, but that is exactly me. If I'm laying at bed at 4:30 in the morning and I'm tired, I'm exhausted from the night before, jiu-jitsu might have been hard or whatever, I actually talk to myself, and it's actually a bit it's a bit weird. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but it sounds like hatred. I'm like, get out of bed, you bitch. What are you doing laying here like a lazy, it's probably a bad way to look at it, but it's not. It's getting me out of bed. It's talking to myself. It's saying, stop making excuses.
hard love.
You know, because
It's tough love.
well, the other voice, you know, is saying, stay in bed, it's warm, you know, don't go to the gym today. That's, you know, that's the self-talk that goes on in everybody's head.
Everyone, I think the people that aren't motivated all the time or disciplined all the time think, oh, that person's just, you know, they're disciplined. They that's just them. No, every day, every single day, I have this conversation in my head. Every morning, that little guy's there. Oh, it's so comfy and your pillow feels so good. Just stay here. Just stay here. And then the other guy's like, get out of bed, you bitch.
Yeah.
Every single day. Like, it's just...
This is why I train in the evening, because like my pillow guy got a strong voice. Yeah, you know, like, and there's all kinds of excuses. You know, slipping up on your diet. Say if you slip up, it's like, okay, I slipped up today. Let me just binge the rest of the day away, the rest of the week away. Like, you know, there's two ways to look at it. It's like, okay, I slipped up. Let me get back on track.
Yeah, get back on track straight away. Because guess what? Everyone slips up as well.
Yeah.
We are all so flawed as humans, and it's easy to look at what's going on social. Like, social media is great for inspiration, but it's also bad for motivation. You can see someone else that looks so motivated and disciplined, and they're constantly lean, and they're only posting all their meals they've weighed out all their macros, and you think, oh, that person's got it dialed in. I guarantee that person slips up.
Yeah.
Constantly.
100%.
We all do.
We all do. Even us, you know, we're trying to talk about this stuff. I 100% slip up.
Yeah.
I slip up every week.
How do you slip up? Diet mainly?
Diet, 100%.
By
Yeah.
having 5 shots of pre-workout at 10 in the morning.
That was fun, but I've slipped up worse.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to training and diet, I see this in a similar sort of lens as martial artists see their martial art. It's not a short-term goal. Like, you can set short-term goals, but your goal is to be healthy, strong, fit, strong mind for life. It's a lifelong journey. Like, you don't get your black belt in a year. It takes 10 plus years to get your black belt. And even when you get to black belt, that's when they say you start learning. So it's like, think of it as a lifelong journey, not as a short-term weight loss goal. That's just the result of you doing this.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of victim mentality that goes on as well. You know, it's like you're either a hero or a victim in your mind. You know, you can say, this guy, he's had all the time in the world, worked out, look at his arms, you know, he's he's just genetically gifted. Like, that's a victim mentality. You know, when you're you're attributing somebody else's success to, you know, other factors that you don't even know anything about. But then, you know, you also attribute your own failures to, if I had the time, I'd be way more jacked than this guy, you know? I'd be fit, I could be an athlete, but I never get around to it, you know? Like, and then you end up with this kind of like self-hatred for not achieving your goals, you know? Because you do have this victim mentality. That's what you need to escape, you know? And it's much easier to say so than to do so, you know? Because that's autopilot for a lot of people in society.
You are just begging to be interrupted, aren't you?
I know. I'm waiting for that.
I'm doing my best today. I think you're spot on again. I agree with you. And probably the biggest mistake people make as well is comparing themselves to others. Compare yourself to the version of you before you started training.
Yeah.
That's the best way to go. It's like...
Skinny, little weed.
Yeah, well, just if you're a better version of who you were when you first started, then you're already one step ahead. Don't compare yourself to the big guy in the gym or the girl that's always like, who cares? That's their journey. Worry about your journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Couldn't hit a jump shot to save his life.
Who, me?
Me.
I'm gonna say I'd dunk on you so easily.
But yeah, there's so many good Musashi quotes. You know, at the end of the day, I'm obsessed with Musashi a little bit, right? You guys know this. It's because that lifestyle, that mentality that Miyamoto Musashi had will never be replicated. You know, people have guns now. Like, you'd never rule the world with martial arts like he did. And you know, one of the famous quotes is, you know, truth is not what you want it to be. It is what it is. You must bend to its power all of a lie.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Miyamoto Musashi invented that phrase. But you know, truth. Everybody knows the truth, but, you know, finding these excuses, finding lies, like, you know, white lies, telling yourself, it's too cold. You know, am I really getting these results? I'll just skip the gym this week. you know, like they snowball, right? So it's about being true to yourself, verbalizing your goals, you know, staying true to them like that.
And look, there is times to rest, and there is times to take days off, and there is times to cheat on your diet. Like, but get back on the journey, get back on the horse, just keep going. I think another thing as well, if you are like a more seasoned trainer and you've been doing this for years, things can become stale. We mentioned mixing up your workout, but tracking your progress. And I know in the powerlifting community, this is huge. Mm-hmm. Like you are constantly tracking workout by workout what you're lifting, and you're making tiny incremental adjustments each workout.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, small, like 2.5 kilo increments. If that, you know, for some people, it's, you know, some powerlifters I know have their own 1 kilo plates in their bags because most gyms don't go low enough. That's how, you know, tiny increments people are working with.
And tracking your progress can do wonders for motivation. If you can get to the end of a 10, 12-week training program and look back at what you did in week 1 and see the big difference, because it's quite often you forget about how far you've come. Mm. You're on this journey and you forget. It's so easy to forget where you started. So whether you take photos of yourself or you're logging it in a journal or you are working through a belt system in martial arts, look back to where you started and realize how far you've come. And I think another big important thing is reward yourself at certain parts of that journey. Celebrate the success you've had. If you are on a weight loss plan and you've been at it for 12, 16 weeks and you've been very strict, guess what? You've earned yourself a cheat meal. Don't be that crazy person that never has any cheat meal, never rewards themselves. Like, celebrate it. Celebrate your little achievements, your little wins.
Yeah.
You awake, Hal?
Yeah.
Hal's yawned about 15 times during this podcast.
Yeah.
Well, somebody needs some pre-workout shots.
I know. Maybe
Probably
next week's game's on you.
100%.
I guess, you know, we covered long-term motivation pretty well, you know, setting goals, you know, not having this, you know, not finding excuses and things like that.
And things like that.
But short-term motivation is, you know, it's a big thing. And we talked about, you know, Michael Jordan and his mini games, but, and, you know, the NBA playoffs are on right now, watching the fourth quarter motivation going on. You know, what about some of the other things, you know, like if you have a little jiu-jitsu fight coming up or something like that, you know, how do you get motivated for that?
Well,
or a grading. I know you've just been graded up to purple belt.
You do you do set little goals for yourself in class. Sometimes on the days that I'm feeling energetic, I will seek out all the people on the mat that I generally struggle with. Like and some days I'll roll with the easiest people on the mat. I'm not naming any names, maybe to work different techniques or whatever. But there are days that I want to set myself a challenge. I'm going to roll with every black belt and brown belt, purple belt on the mat. I'm going to make this night very challenging. You might get to the end of the night and go, I sucked. I got beat up all night. But eventually you keep sort of working against those people that are better than you. You're going to, our coach always says, high tide raises all ships. So they're going to lift you up to their level as well. So seek out those people that know more than you. Always be sort of seeking knowledge and learning, be open to learning more things, and that can keep you motivated too.
Yeah. And, you know, this game day mentality, it's big. And I don't know how many sports we've seen, you know, people crumble mentally on the day of, you know, of their performance. And there's so many factors that go into this, and, you know, the stress of everything. I think it comes back to being present in the moment, you know, not being overwhelmed by situations. You know, not that I've had, you know, fights and things like that, but, you know, I've lifted weights, you know, that you can drop. And, you know, we watched a video of the guy stumbling last week with the 400 kilos. Man, and, you know, I think, you know, maybe his mind wasn't, I don't want to judge people because, you know, that there could have been whatever, how many factors, but, you know, like sometimes your mind's just not in there. And, you know, you see it in UFC all the time. You know, people get broken before the fights. I guess maybe a good example, Jose Aldo versus Conor McGregor. You know, Conor McGregor always goes underneath people's skin, And that's just one example of how he broke him mentally.
Yeah, and you can compare that to when Conor fought Nate Diaz the first time.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz is not a guy that can be broken.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you the different mindsets. And, Jose Aldo is an amazing fighter and mentally one of the toughest guys on the planet.
Yeah.
It might just be one of those days.
I think it was because, he came back after and he was like, the old Aldo of old.
Yeah.
So, everybody has those days. And, another Miyamoto Musashi story, he was in one of the biggest battles in Japan, and he was on the losing side. And usually, if you're on the losing side of a battle, you get executed. He escaped from it and exiled himself to the forest to train because he was so demotivated by this loss. So he literally taught himself new sword techniques all by himself and became the greatest warrior of all time.
I think there's that element of craziness in those sort of people as well. Like they're driven by the fear of failure.
Yeah.
That definitely drives me as well.
Yeah. And, Miyamoto Musashi understood this so well, and probably his greatest ever battle with this guy, Satoshi Kojiro, who was the demon of the Western province, as they call him. He was meant to be the greatest swordsman alive in Japan at the time. Musashi knew he could break his confidence, so Musashi showed up late, showed up with the sun behind him on a boat. As he approached the beach where this guy was standing waiting for him, this guy was furious. So he knew he'd, charge him first. Miyamoto Musashi threw his sword away and, made it look like he's like going to beat him without a sword. What he did was he shaved the oar of the boat and hit this guy on the head because this guy's famous for his long sword technique. He studied it. Miyamoto studied his technique in and out. Knew he'd rush by being infuriated and hit him on the head with a wood. Game over. There's a statue of this fight.
Sounds like he cheated.
Sounds like strategy to me.
Very much strategy when your life's on the line, whatever goes.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to beat a sword with a piece of wood, winning strategy to me.
Yeah. What are some a couple of little tricks you can do if you are not motivated? Say you go home this afternoon, you're feeling tired. Hal's a great example. He just yawned again.
Sorry.
He's definitely not training tonight.
Yeah, I am.
What can we do? We talked about supplements in the last episode. Pre-workout's a good start.
It is. Yeah.
If you'd have a pre-workout, half an hour later, you can be in a completely different mindset. They're the days that I use pre-workout. On the days that I'm not feeling so motivated, it can kick you into gear. A bit of caffeine and whatnot.
Yeah, and even for some people I know, who are about the aesthetic, getting some new gym shoes and some gym clothes and things. That's motivation to go flex at the gym if that's what you're after. Getting a new program, that's motivation. Just watching some YouTube videos before the gym, all of that picks you up real quick.
I used to do that. I used to watch old school bodybuilding videos, like Jay Cutler's video before I went to the gym to get me.
What do you mean used to do that?
I don't do it anymore.
I just watch NBA highlights.
But
some posters.
Yeah, it gets you pumped up.
Yeah.
For me, music can get you, if you're listening, if you're in a shit mood or you don't want to go to the gym, throw on some of your favorite tunes. Watch your mood change instantly.
Yeah.
Get up and move while you're listening to some music, and boom, completely different mindset instantly.
Yeah.
Even just leg swings or shoulder rolls and things like that.
Just get
any movement.
Yeah, get your body moving.
Yeah, there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Just start doing something, and then it'll roll into a full-on workout.
Was that another Musashi quote?
No, that was me. Write it down. 2020.
My last gripe, this is a gripe actually, and it comes down to motivation, but in the gym. Put your phone away. For goodness sake, people can be so distracted by their phone. Darren's doing it right now. Look.
No, I'm just looking for some more quotes.
People can become so distracted with their phone in between sets that they lose the momentum of their workout. You watch people, they'll start out strong, and then they'll pick up their phone. The rest in between sets is getting longer. They end up messaging a friend.
But
they
powerlifters would rest 5 minutes between sets.
Cut their workouts short. I agree, though. It is tougher for powerlifters in between sets, but that's when you should be sort of working on other stuff.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I always set a timer, 2 or 3 minutes, and then I can just go on my phone, Instagram.
Yeah.
For days.
But then, I guess we're talking about all this good motivation. There's another extreme of getting too deep into it. We see these bodybuilders that go over the top and become, addicted to to size, and this bodybuilding,
Body dysmorphia, yeah.
Yeah, so these guys look at themselves in the mirror and always think that they're small, even though they're perfectly jacked.
That's a weird thing. I've never understood that. Like you can be critical of yourself, but not to the point where you're actually putting yourself down. Like,
yeah. So this motivation, it's a fine line, and it's very easy to get over motivated. And it happens with diets all the time. People go a bit crazy, and it can do more harm than good sometimes.
Agreed. Anything else you want to bring up?
Balance is important.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I'm happy.
No, good. Got any listener questions this week?
We do have a couple listener questions.
Let's hook in.
First one from Alex Walker. He says, last episode you mentioned that creatine is unstable in water. Is that the same for beta-alanine, carnitine, and glutamine?
Beta-alanine, carnitine, and glutamine are pretty stable compared to creatine in water. They'd be safe for 24 hours as long as you're not if you leave this liquid in the fridge, for example.
Last time I asked you a question about creatine, then you kind of didn't answer, which was you say that it's unstable in water, but for how long? Like, I know you said based on the pH of the water.
There's a lot of factors that can affect this.
Typical tap water, filtered or unfiltered, how long will creatine stay fine for? A couple hours? Is that all right?
Yeah, a couple hours is all right. I was talking more about specifically ready-to-drink beverages. That's why you don't see creatine in a lot of things, because it can't exist in water for that long because it gets converted to this thing called creatinine.
Okay.
Beta-alanine, glutamine, these things are, water-soluble amino acids and tend to be stable for a bit longer.
Cool. So if I was going to go to the gym and have a shake with creatine in it 3 hours late after I mix it?
I would say even 8 hours would be perfectly fine for creatine.
Sweet. Next question is from Fred Watkins. Who would win in an arm wrestle, Ross or Dhiren?
100% Dhiren. He's a powerlifter.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I've got the rotator cuff of like a 80-year-old man as well.
Oh, no.
I've got the worst shoulders from grappling and lifting weights for so long.
No.
Dhiren would annihilate me.
I'm terrible. In physics, arm wrestling's about torque, right? And torque is force times distance. So your forearm length determines your arm wrestling skills a lot. And
nice. Yeah, this is about 3 inches long.
Arm wrestling's dangerous. I've seen too many arm wrestling videos where it goes wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't arm wrestle anymore. For that, I just don't want to get injured.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everybody challenges me to arm wrestle. I'm like, nah, let's just do push-ups.
Not today, champ.
I'll do an arm wrestle with people's weak arm.
Yeah.
With the left arm. But, I don't fancy my chances against one of the New Zealand's best powerlifter.
I don't know about that. But there's this cool sport of arm wrestling, and you wear a boxing glove on the other hand. You can punch the guy while you're arm
I've seen that. It's combat arm wrestling.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
And there's that other one now where they stand at the table and they slap each other. That is
amazing.
That's so good.
Yeah.
There are a couple of ones which like this.
We should do one of those.
Some skinny guy. Yeah. All right. You and me.
You got hands about that big.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not gonna mess with your hands.
Yeah. Give me some talcum powder. I can whip out a pump slap over here for you, Hal.
Nice.
Have we got a famous athlete quote?
We do. Need to get this up real quick. We have some sports news as well if you want to touch on that. But let's do the sports news first.
Okay. Sports news first.
First of all, some bad news again in the media. Usain Bolt has tested positive for COVID.
Yeah, wow, crazy. Can't run away from COVID no matter how fast you are. No, but apparently he's okay. But he had a surprise birthday party and he caught it there.
Really?
Yeah.
So he'll be just fine.
Maybe. We'll see.
Pretty much every athlete that's had it has been fine.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone that's had it
has
been fine. Unless you're over whatever.
No. I know lots of people that are pretty badly affected by it.
There's a lot of athletes that have got it though.
Yeah.
Obviously they're all well they're all on top of each other. They're in
Paul Pogba from Man United just tested positive. Man United's best player as well.
There was a fighter in the UFC on the weekend. He got pulled out a day before the fight or the day of the fight because he got it.
That's a shame.
I think it's going to be around forever, man. I think we'll probably start to cancel it out of our news. It's like becoming so common and so frequent. I'm waiting for one of us to get it.
Yeah.
Who do you reckon is going to be first to get it out of us three?
Definitely Hal. He's going to these super spreader parties in the week.
Definitely. Super spreader parties.
Yeah, sorry. Trying to be responsible.
You are. You're a very responsible young man.
Thanks, Dad. Next piece of news. NBA players, they've been boycotting the playoffs after the recent Jacob Blake shooting.
Yeah, but they're back now.
Yeah.
You know,
You go.
well, they're using, you know, their platform for a message. You know, the NBA's allowed everybody to put these customized messages on the back of their jerseys. And, you know, I guess, yeah, they feel, you know, empowered. And, you know, how else can you get a message across that, you know, they disagree with what's happening in society than, you know, using all your cards and not playing?
Here's a question. You two are basketball fans, big basketball fans. Should they do it on the court? Should it be brought into the sport?
Yes.
Or should they be using their own platforms outside of the game to get their message across? These guys are all high profile regardless.
Yeah.
They can say anything outside of the game and they'll still get probably the same media coverage. Do they need to wear it on their jerseys or on their helmets, or does it need to cross over into sport, or should sport just be about sport?
I think it should be about sport.
I think so. I mean,
Do you think it should be just about sport?
No. I think it should be involved in the sport.
yeah. And, you know, Nelson Mandela I'm whipping out all the quotes today. He has a very good quote about, you know, sport has the ability to, you know, communicate to everybody, has the ability to communicate to young kids, has the ability to, you know, transcend all barriers, you know, racial, social, political. Sports were a very powerful device. And, you know, in like 1995 when apartheid ended, the Springboks were used to unify South Africa because, you know, it was the first like multicultural team. You know, previously it was only, you know, no non-whites were allowed to play for the Springboks back in the day. And then, you know, once they made it a multicultural team, won the World Cup in '95, it was a big deal. And, you know, Nelson Mandela used it as a way to unite the whole country.
It's definitely a way to get that sort of global mainstream
appeal
and focus and spotlight on it. Sports where people go to escape all that bullshit, though. True. Don't you reckon? Like, it, as much as I agree with supporting of that movement, sports where people go to get away from that shit. True. Like, they just want to focus on the sport, switch off, and watch their favorite basketball player play basketball. Do they really want to hear their political views? Their right? Well, I feel like the lines are being blurred a bit too much now. Like. And it seems to happen a lot in basketball. Sorry.
No, that's me interrupting you there.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Have a bar.
Don't you dare.
You did well. I thought you'd be like 5 bars in by now.
I agree. We've done a very good job. But it's like saying, you know, people want to get away from it, but the players can't get away from it.
Yeah.
You know. But what has happened, though, is so the one game that each team boycotted, the owners have committed collectively $300 million pledging towards this Black Lives Matter movement. And the players, they have this agreement that if anything stops, then they won't play anymore. So to those people who are saying that only one game wouldn't make a difference, it has made a difference. Yeah, which is good. More news. Messi has decided to leave Barcelona.
Yeah. Oh, biggest. I never thought he'd ever leave. I thought, you know, he started his career there and he'll end it there. But... the time has come.
Where do you think he'll go?
Well, you know, I hope Man United, but the chances are extremely low of that happening.
I heard Man City was up there.
Yeah, Man City's probably, you know, his old coach, Pep Guardiola's there. His buddy, Sergio Aguero's up there. So we'll see what happens.
I heard he's replacing Cameron Smith at the Melbourne Storm. Here's another guy that there's been a lot of talk about recently. He's been there forever.
It's crazy that Cameron Smith and Messi are, you know, the greatest of all times in their respective codes.
I know.
In a very similar situation.
You think that Cameron Smith's the greatest of all time?
100%.
What about Darren Lockyer? Great.
Yeah. But Cameron Smith's been at that high level for such a long time and is still at that high level. Could go on for years to come.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is, and he's rarely been injured. Like, I know he cops some shit. He's pretty vocal in the game, but what a great leader.
Yeah.
Look at what the Storm have done since he's been there.
I don't think anybody's on his level right now that you could argue with.
And I think the biggest argument there is Lockyer came up under some greats at the Broncos. You know, like, you look who was there before Lockyer, and he was able to sort of grow and become a great. But Cameron Smith, he created the Melbourne Storm. He is the Melbourne Storm. I would hate to see him go anywhere else, but it's up to him. He's earned the right to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying about Messi as well.
Agreed.
The best player in the world. Maybe the second best because I think Ronaldo's the best. But it's just what a time to be alive to see the two greatest of all time do it, and it's never going to be seen again. But wherever Messi goes, it's going to be good.
It might come back to motivation. He might be at that point in his career where he needs something different. A different club, different coaches, different players surrounding him, just to create that spark again. I mean, what is left for these guys to achieve? I don't know if I was talking to you about it the other day. When you get to that level and you've earned that much money and you never have to play the game again, what drives these guys to keep playing?
Yeah, I honestly think that, Messi and Ronaldo wouldn't be as good as they are if both of them weren't around because, this debate, who's the greatest, has been going on their whole careers because I don't know if you know, but each of them have won the Ballon d'Or, the best player in the world, for the past 10 years.
It happens a lot in different sports. Like it usually creates another, like a rivalry, and you see it a lot in tennis with Federer and Nadal and Djokovic. Like, would those guys be as elite as they are if they didn't have a rival there or someone pushing them or driving them or a competitor?
Yeah, there's. Well, back to our main topic of the day, there's intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation, right? Some people are motivated by the competition. Some people are motivated by what's within, And, different people respond to different motivations.
True.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any other sports?
Yeah, more from the world of football. Manchester United captain Harry Maguire was arrested in Greece, or by the Greece undercover police, but he mistook it for a kidnapping, apparently.
Yeah, so he tried to bribe them.
What happened?
Well, basically, he said somebody drugged his sister, so they got in a fight. And then he got arrested. Then he tried to bribe the cops. And his trial's going on right now. But apparently there was a mistrial. So he was charged and they reversed it. So
right,
it's crazy. He's like, one of the guys you would expect this to happen to. He's one of the good guys, And, his defensive partner, Victor Lindelof, who's, both of them paid the back for Man United, he stopped a robber in Sweden. He stopped a robbery. So, it's crazy. He's probably the one that you think would be. He's like the more aggressive of the two. But yeah,
that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And last bit of news was just recapping Tim Tszyu knocking off Jeff Horn on Wednesday night. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah. Shout out to Tim Tszyu. We met Tim on the Musashi stand at the last fitness expo last year. He had to go to the punching machine. Wow, what an awesome performance. Two great competitors in the world of Australian boxing. Jeff Horn, obviously, at the end of his career. Tim Tszyu, sort of coming into the prime of his career. Put on a bit of a clinic, though.
Yeah, I wasn't following the build-up too closely, and then I was like, Jeff Horn will win, right? These, run the gauntlet, as they say. Yeah. But, I was wrong. When I was watching it, I was like, well, this dude is good.
Yeah. Tim Tszyu, obviously, if he's half as good as his dad, he's going to be a world champion. But he is. I was impressed, the level of professionalism, how calm he stayed throughout the fight. Just seems to have a good head on his shoulders for someone that young.
Yeah.
And that's the makings of a future champion.
And he's so quick.
Oh,
yeah.
Unbelievable. That was a good fight.
That's all for sports news.
Sweet. We got a mystery athlete quote.
We do. We've the reason I wanted to do this after sports news is because we already mentioned him. So a bit of a hint.
Okay.
Okay.
Kobe. Okay. Anyway.
I start early and I stay late, day after day, year after year. It took me 17 years and 114 days to become an overnight success.
Usain Bolt.
Nope.
Kobe.
Nope. We haven't mentioned Kobe.
Who did we mention? Harry Maguire.
No.
Messi.
There we go.
Took
probably long enough.
No.
Should have said it in a Spanish accent. I would have got it.
That was that actually relates well to today.
Yeah.
What we were talking about as far as mindset and motivation. Yeah. No one's an overnight success. You don't see everything that goes in behind the scenes, the years and years and years of just grinding.
Yeah, and you know, it's some people, you know, there's the age-old debate. Is it, you know, genetics that made you good? Is it, you know, hard work that made you good? Often it's a combination of both. You know, the best of the best do have both. You know, like Usain Bolt. You know, he didn't wake up the fastest man in the world, but he had some good genes that, you know, made him get the most out of his training. So
Hal was born the tallest guy in the world,
Yeah.
though.
I heard that.
yeah, Hal was born taller than his mother.
Born.
I don't know.
Have you got a
Nothing to
Musashi
say.
quote for us this week?
I do.
Hang on, before you start. I think you need some nice Japanese flute music to accompany your quote.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Now bring it down a notch,
Okay.
everyone.
So, actually, before the quote, I got some nice books to recommend on mindset and motivation. Musashi, The Way of Walking Alone. The Book of Five Rings, which we get all of our quotes from.
Where you get all the quotes from.
Yeah. And then, you know, if you want to really go into some deep stuff, Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, good book. It's actually the personal diary of the Emperor of Rome. Never meant to be, you know, read by others. So it's really deep thoughts
Really?
on, you know, on stoicism, how to remain unaffected by your situation. But
This has turned into Oprah's book club.
yeah, the Musashi quote of the day. There's nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is within. Everything exists. Seek nothing outside of yourself. Absorb it. Take it in.
Lovely.
Listen to that flute.
What do
Good
you
stuff there.
So true.
Yeah, you know, everything is within. You know, everything you ever wanted is on the other side of your, you know, your fears, your apprehensions, your, you know, on the other side of the wall of motivation.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
This music's putting me to sleep.
Hal's
Maybe
asleep
turn
already.
it off.
No, it's true. I think we talked a bit today about external motivations, but truly, the true motivation comes from within.
Yeah, you know,
You have to want it.
you have to, and you can't fake it. You know, be true to yourself. Be true to your training.
I think that's a good way to end the podcast.
I agree.
Anyone got any listener questions, throw them at us on Instagram, DM, or podcast@musashi.com, or just DM Dhiren direct,
Yep.
or Hal, Hal the Intern. Anything else, boys? Are we out?
I think that's it. Check out the Book of Five Rings.
Awesome book.
Yeah.
Cheers. See you next
Musashi out.
episode.